Can I get a response from the audience? Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us for today. Okay, I know time is of an essence for today, right? So basically today I'm going to talk about business presentation skill, which focuses more on making an effective delivery. Okay, so basically this is just the tips of an iceberg of our upcoming program that we are going to have soon. Okay, and the program is on designing wow slides presentation, which will focus more on making an interactive and interesting slides presentation. And this particular program will be conducted by our own senior head, Mr. Ahmad Zulkarnain Abdullah, and we will communicate to you on this program very soon. Okay, so don't miss out on this. All right, so basically my presentation for today will cover two major components. Okay, one is the components of successful speech, which we have like 5 components overall, and then the 3 P's of a successful speech. Now, nothing in life is more important than the ability to communicate effectively. Now, in today's business environment, we acknowledge the importance of effective communication, right? So with all the meetings that we have, the conference calls, business presentations, and public events, I think employers realize the importance of having good interpersonal communication skill among or within the organization itself. Okay, now if you have the best product or the best services or the best experience, but if you fail to communicate that to your customers or to your consumers, so you are limiting your effectiveness actually, right? Now, very often, we see that the best stories that happen in organization go untold because people are so afraid to take the stage or to take the floor to share the story or to communicate. Okay. Now, if your goal to enhance your professional ability or to motivate others, I think it is, you need to be able to convey your ideas in a very clear, structured, and captivating manner. Okay. Now, the opportunity to speak in front of public is a chance to sell your business or service to potential clients. So if you do not take this opportunity, it will be waste. Okay, it will go wasted. All right. Now, having said that, now the fear of public speaking or glossophobia, it is called, is very common. Okay, it's very common. Even I have that fear of public speaking or fear of speaking in a group of people. Okay, and not necessarily a big group of people. So it can be like 5, 10, or 20, or hundreds or thousands of people. As long as we take the floor and the fear soon kick in, right? And research has been conducted on this, I think, since 1973, actually. It is said that the fear of speaking in public, okay, is actually the fear that most people have as compared to, and it surpassed the fear for height, the fear of snake, the fear of spiders. Okay, so basically, if you have that fear, it is common. Now, the question is, how are you going to overcome the fear so that it will not distract the audience from getting the content or from getting the gist of what you want to say? Now, let's look at the 2 biggest myths of fear of making presentation or public speaking or speaking in a public. Okay, one is great public speaking skills are an inborn talent. So people always think that, she is already good in speaking, so I'm not. So it is not actually. It depends on how well you prepare and how well you practice your material for the delivery. Okay, so actually it can be coached. So it can be groomed. All right. Now the second biggest myth would be stage fright is a sign of inadequacy and lack of public speaking skills. So this is so wrong. So do not say that if you're afraid to take the stage, then meaning you have the lack of public speaking skill. No, it's not. We need certain amount of fear, okay, to get that adrenaline rush. Do you get what I mean? Okay. If you do not have that fear, a little bit of fear, so it would not help you in a way to go through the presentation. I think, it is common. So I have that fear as well, like I said just now, and it helps me somehow to prepare and somehow I think to perform, okay, to perform better. Even the most popular singers they still have this stage fright. So don't worry about, if you have that fear of making presentation when your boss said, okay, you have to do this business pitch, and you get the, oh, I'm so afraid to go on stage, or I'm so afraid to take the floor. So don't worry about it. So what you need to do is just to prepare well and to practice. All right. So these are 5 things that you can do, okay, in order to transform that fear into excitement. Okay, one is to practice deep breathing. Now, if you are a yoga practitioner, so this is very good for you. You can do meditation, some kind of meditation, because if you are afraid, somehow your heart rate will increase, and you need to reduce that somehow. Okay, so you need to, some people they recite dua first, and they do this deep breathing technique. Okay, slow breathing. Okay, and next one is to shift focus outward rather than inward. So rather than focusing on your fear, you focus on what you are going to deliver, the content, the message. As you know, the most important thing is to get that content across for your consumers, for your customers, to know your product, right? Okay, to get what you're saying. Okay, and next one is to visualize yourself delivering that speech. This goes, I think, even before the presentation itself, where you visualize yourself on stage, taking the floor, okay, presenting it well, presenting it clearly, articulately in front of your audience. Okay, and next one is focus on facts, not the fear. I mean, if you fear too much, if you have that fear, so much of fear, sometimes it will hinder you from getting the message across. So you do not want to do that. So make sure you focus on the facts. So make sure whatever products that you're selling goes through the customers, so the consumers, okay, rather than you focus on your fear. And next one is building speech on clarity, not complexity. So make sure when you organize your speech, you only focus on 2 to 3 points only. Some people think that, the more I speak, the better it is. It's actually not that way. You have to structure your presentation well, so that your presentation flows very smoothly. So it can be understand, it can be like, taken by the consumer or the customers or potential clients, right? Now let's look at the components of successful speech. The success of your presentation will be judged not by the knowledge you send, but by what the listener receives. So this is true. Although as much as I want to say that the content of your presentation is important, but what equally important is how you deliver your presentation. Okay, the delivery part, what they listen, what they get. Okay, so this is very important as well. So there are 5 components of successful speech, of successful presentation. Okay, storytelling, body language, tone of voice, pauses. Okay, so these are the 5 components. Next one is visual cues. Okay, so the last one. These 5 parts are very important. Some people, they can structure their presentation well. They can write their speech very well. However, they cannot deliver well. So they fail in the delivery part. So if you fail in that delivery part, it is such a waste. Okay, in any organization, you want to ensure that your employees are able to communicate well. Okay, to communicate your product or your services across the audience or the public very well, okay, or effectively, right? Now let's look at the first one, storytelling. Now most people think that if you use storytelling, if you use story in your presentation, it sounds very informal or it sounds not serious. Actually, you are wrong. Okay, storytelling is such a powerful tool because it evokes people's emotion. If I take this as an example, even the biggest organization like Petronas, Shell, TNB, they use storytelling in their advertisement nowadays. Okay, I think like even I think like this past few years, they keep fighting for advertisement and Hari Raya advertisement. So normally during festive season like Chinese New Year or Christmas not so much lah. I think like Chinese New Year, Deepavali, and also Hari Raya, right? All these companies, they spend millions of ringgit just to create an advertisement based on story, so that it can like invoke the feeling of the audience. And you know, as an audience myself, this is the part that I wait the most. You know, I will wait for that advertisement for festive seasons to come out, and I would compare. All right, compare all these advertisement from Petronas and from Shell and whatnot. Okay, and then I will like, you know, discuss this even among my family, so among my friends, talking about which story like you know that take our heart the most. Okay, that invoke our feeling the most, invoke our emotion the most. So this is very I think like powerful tools. I've went into this storytelling course actually for a week, yeah, on how we can deliver our content or how we can promote our organization using storytelling. Okay, so yeah, it depends on your organization, what kind of organization that you're in. So the story should relate to your everyday experience. For example, dealing with the customers, and us in education institution dealing with our customers as well, which are our students. Okay. Now, sometimes the story, it can be your own, right? For me, normally I will use my life story experience. Okay, whatever I have with my previous students, my previous work, I would relate it in my presentation. Okay, so because I have a few years or 9 years experience working in a bank, and also a few years experience working in other education institutions. So I would always use my experience or my stories with my students or with my past clients to create my presentation. Okay. So it depends on you whether, you know, sometimes the story can come from your own experience. It can also be adapted from your friend's experience, or it can also be totally your own creation of a story, as long as it can invoke the feeling or the emotion of your audience, right? Now, these are the do's and the don'ts. So, so basically, when you make your presentation, okay, of course, you are in front of your audience. Okay, it doesn't matter if the audience is just 10 or 20 or 1,000 or 100, right? The most important thing is that how you want to deliver your story and how you want to relate the story to your content. So make sure it is relevant to what you are selling or what you are servicing or what you are producing. Okay, so keep it short and simple. When I said storytelling, I didn't mean it in a way that it will somehow cover the whole presentation. No, it is just how you grab the attention of your listeners at the beginning of your presentation. Okay. After this, I'm going to play. After this first part, not now. A few presentation that use a lot of storytelling, and I want you to comment on that as well. Okay. Now you need to somehow space your stories within intervals. Sometimes a story can get, in any story element, you need somehow the rising part, and then the climax, and then the resolution. It is like a simple kind of climbing thing. If you watch movies, right? So you have the beginning, and then you have the rising action, you have the climax, and then you have the resolution or the ending of the story. And make sure it makes sense. All right. Make sure it has some kind of sense to your audience. Now, the most important thing of delivering a story is your body language and your facial expression. Now, of course, if the story is sad, you cannot convey it or you cannot deliver it smiling, right? So make sure your body language or your facial expression match the story. Okay, now learn the story by heart. I believe that a good presenter with good preparation do not need a script. As long as you know your content, because you are the expert of your content, right? So as long as you know your content, you know your product, you know your services, so you can just deliver without giving them the brochure or without giving them some kind of now visuals, of course it can help, okay, but make sure they do not focus on the visual too much, that they did not listen to what you're telling them. Okay, visual is just to assist. All right, in some, of course, in some products or in some services, depends if you are selling like some kind of technological product. Of course you need some kind of visuals and to play on and whatnot, but it depends, again, it depends on your organization or the organization that you're attached with. Now the don'ts is, do not use 2 or 3 stories on the same topic. So to make it special, just use one story, for example, at the beginning, or perhaps in the middle, you use another story, but not the same story. Okay. And then do not use terms that are foreign to the audience. Of course, you yourself, before you present something, you need to know your audience. Okay, that is very important, to know your audience first. Then only you can get the message across. If you do not know the level of your audience, if you do not do your research on that, it is quite difficult for you to make an effective presentation. Okay, because the level of your audience would not be the same. Like, for example, if I speak to a group of primary students, okay, it will be different from the secondary student, and also different from tertiary level student, and different from corporate audience. So these are the things that you need to know, learning your audience. And do not fill stories with too many characters, okay? So maybe just focus on 1 or 2 characters. Normally, sometimes I just focus on 2, okay? And then sometimes I focus on 1. Sometimes there's no character in my story, okay? So it depends on your story, actually. All right. Now, body language, when you talk about body language, these are the 4 things that encompasses body language. Posture, okay? Make sure you stand upright, okay? Having a good posture is very important. So do not slouch your shoulder. Okay, I know sometimes when you're anxious, you tend to somehow stand on your 1 foot. And I have taken public speaking and presentation skill classes before during college, and what my lecturer always stress is that good posture, you have to maintain that good posture for just that perhaps 10 minutes of your presentation. Okay, and then after that, off you go. You can go back to your slouched shoulder, you can go back to standing on one feet or whatnot, but for that 10 minutes, just bear with it. Okay, because if people focus too much on your body, they will not listen to your message. Okay, especially if you are standing in front of them, they will like looking at you, looking at where you put your arms, and are you smiling, are you not, where do you put your body, how do you stand, do you put your hands on your pockets or not. Okay, some people, they play with the coins in the pocket, which is very distracting. It can distract the audience, so make sure what you do in front do not distract the audience from the message that you're trying to get across. Otherwise, it will be such a waste. Okay, that 10 minutes or that 15 minutes or that 20 minutes delivery will be a waste. They will not, I bet you at the end of your presentation, they will not even know what is your topic, because they're so busy looking at you. They're so busy looking at how you stand, okay, and whatnot. All right, so make sure you have a very good posture. All right, so whether you want to walk across the audience or not, it is up to you. If you are comfortable walking across, some people, when they do presentation, when they have the slides with them, they like to move about from one end to another end, but without what you call without losing the eye contact with the audience. They still engage with the audience. Their eye is still focused on the audience, but they walk. So make sure if you want to walk across, you make sure your eyes engage to the audience. Otherwise, if you break the engagement, or if you break, that eye contact, somehow or other, it will distract the audience. Okay, so to play it safe, just stay in one place. Okay, but again, it depends on you as a presenter. I personally like to move about, but not so much. Okay, moving about would come across to the audience as you being confident. Okay, if you just stay in one place, they will think that you're not confident. Okay, so you need to, be able to get inside the head of your audience, to know the psychology of your audience, actually. So giving a presentation is actually not an easy thing to do. It encompasses a lot of things, right? Not only yourself, your preparation, but the audience as well, right? Okay, now body placement. When you talk about body placement, some people, they're comfortable standing without any barriers between them and the audience. I think we have this experience, attending meetings, and when someone is, requested to stand and give their opinion on something, some people, they prefer to just sit, and because they have this barrier, they have the desk, the table as a barrier between them and the other members of the meeting. But some people, if you see that, they prefer to stand. They prefer to stand during presentation in a meeting, even though it is just the 5 of us in the meeting. And some people, somehow or other, they like to stand up in front, okay, when they are presenting, even to small group of people. So body placement, again, it plays a very important role. It shows how confident you are. Some people, they need podium. Okay, when you say that, okay, next week you are going to give a speech, or you are going to deliver this presentation to a group of potential clients, and then they will ask, like, is there any podium? I want to put my notes and so on. Preferably, if you give your presentation, go without any notes. If you want to have your notes, make sure the note is not an A4 paper size kind of note. Normally, I would make that 3x5 note card, and I would put a clip, a ring binder, and then normally I would memorize that somehow or other. After like 20 times of practicing the speech, I would actually memorize the whole speech. Okay. So practice is very important, right? Next one is arms. Where you put your arm? Are you going to put it in your pocket? Okay. Are you going to fiddle with your clothes? So be careful with that. I know sometimes when you are so nervous, when it gets to you so much, you tend to not realize what you're doing in front of your audience or in front of your customer, in front of your clients. You somehow tend to sometimes, play with your hair for girls. I watch this a lot. I observe this a lot as a lecturer, and also even during my banking years, in one of the meetings that we have with our car dealer. I remember one of these staff from Maybank. She used to, whenever she speak to this car dealer, she would play with her hair. Okay, and I think that would distract people so much rather than listen to her interest rate, her her services, products that she wants to offer. People would be looking at her and then looking at her hair. What's wrong with her hair? So make sure your arms, doesn't somehow hinder you from getting your message across. And next one is facial expression. Now, smiling is very important. I often get people who tell me to keep smiling, keep smiling, because sometimes we tend to forget to smile, especially when we feel that we're so nervous, or we want to deliver something that we feels very important. It feels very important, and we feel that we need that serious mode. Okay, and we tend to forget to smile to the audience. Now, some people, they didn't know that when they wear masks, people can actually see you smile. Do you believe me? Okay, try to wear your mask and then smile. What happened to your eyes? It will be a little bit slanted, right? So people can see actually when you smile behind your mask. So make sure to always smile. So this is one of the aspect that I always forget during my presentation. Because sometimes when you try to memorize the content so much, you tend to forget to smile. Actually, this is very important aspect. When you smile to your audience, you're making that that eye contact. You are telling them that I'm such a warm person. I'm open. I'm an open person. Um, I want you to get comfortable with me. So that is why I give you the sweetest smile that I've given to anyone. All right. Okay. Now, next one is the tone of voice. Okay, what do I mean by the tone of voice? Okay. Talk low, talk slow, don't talk too much. Okay, it is said that the tone of voice account for 33% of the message transmitted in actual words say of 7%. Okay, so the tone of your voice, yeah, even we ourselves, we experience this, right? So if people have a very high pitch, some kind of voice, it is not pleasant to listen to it. Okay, so the quality of your voice is very important. So there's a way of you to actually take good care of your vocal. For example, if you're going to present, avoid drinking caffeine. So normally during huge presentation, I would try to avoid caffeine. I'm an avid coffee lover. I take 3 to 4 glasses of coffee, black, no sugar, of course, daily basis. But if I need to do some kind of presentation, or if I have classes, too many classes that day, I would try to reduce or avoid caffeine totally, because it can somehow disrupt your vocal cord. Okay. Now, the tone of voice is one of the aspect of non-verbal communication. All right, so it is called the paralinguistic study of nonverbal communication. Okay, it includes, the tone of voice includes your pace, or sometimes people call it speed. And then it includes also your pitch, whether you have high pitch or whether you have low pitch. It includes how loud your volume is, okay? And also it includes enunciation of your vocal speech. What is the difference between enunciate and pronunciate? When you pronounce it, you say the word. When you enunciate, you say the word clearly. But if you pronounce it, you say it correctly. So it is better to say it clearly rather than correctly, so that it will come across to your audience. Now, when I talk about a volume, one story came to mind. Okay, this happens back then when I was teaching in foundation students, in Asasi TESOL students in UiTM. Okay, during presentation, normally when I give marks to the students, I will sit at far back of the class, and I will tell them, if I can hear you, I'll give you mark. If not, I'll just give you 0. So one particular student, what she normally, when she deliver her speech, I cannot really hear her. I cannot hear her. So I said, like, I'm giving you a second chance, but make sure I can hear you. But upon giving the second chance, still I cannot hear her. She said, madam, this is the loudest I can go. I cannot go beyond this because, I'm a soft-spoken kind of person. I said, no, we have our own voice modulation. We can modulate our own voice depending on the situation. Imagine this, okay? If you sit in a room with your friend, do you need to shout? No, right? Okay, you just need to speak at a normal volume. But if you are in a crowd, if you're calling someone at the mama shop to kira for you, of course you will scream. Okay, so that is an example of how we can modulate our own voice. Sometimes people they do not realize this. I do not know whether she didn't realize that or whether she purposely do that, because a few weeks after that incident, my office was actually downstairs and upstairs was the hostel, fourth floor building, and she called her friend actually from downstairs. Cepat turun makan, something like that. So calling for lunch lah. And then I was saying, who made such noise outside of my room? So I just opened my window a little bit, and then I saw her, and then I said to her, so this is actually how you modulate your voice. You can actually speak louder, but why did you say to me that you are a soft-spoken person? Okay, maybe she didn't realize that she can modulate her voice, or maybe she's just bluffing. I don't know. Okay, now talking about pace or speed, I'm so guilty of this. I'm such a fast speaker, so stop me if you think that I go faster than what you can normally hear. All right. Now, when we are nervous, we tend to rush our delivery. Okay. Well, it depends actually on the topic or on what you are presenting. Some part you need to speak slow, with a slow pace, I mean, not a slow volume. And some part you need to go a little bit faster. So you need to be able to vary your pace or vary your speed. Otherwise, you will bore the audience. Otherwise, they will not, they will just listen to halfway and then like, oh, such a boring pace or such a boring speed. If you speak, especially if you speak very slow, people tend to fall asleep, right? So make sure you vary your speech when you make your presentation. Maybe some part you need to go fast and some part you need to go a little bit slow. It depends, all right? Now, if you go too fast, sometimes the listener cannot get, especially if it is such a heavy topic. For example, you're coming out with a new product. Of course, you cannot go too fast. You know, I remember when we started introducing Islamic product in banks. Okay, so we have our Al Mudaraba, Al Wadia, Asfa car financing. So as we explain to our customers, we cannot go too fast because it is a new concept to them. So Islamic banking is a new concept back then, but not now, right? So if you go too slow, somehow, if the topic is known to everyone, so it is a common topic, and you go too slow, it will bore the audience. So depends on the topic that you are delivering. So is it a new product? If it's new and the concept is new, of course, you need to go a little bit slow, but not too slow. Okay. I'm so guilty of having this speed. Okay, I can finish even 70 slides or sometimes 100 slides in less than 2 hours, sometimes just 1 hour. Okay, I need to, as a speaker, we need to know our weakness. Okay, our weaknesses. This is one of my weakness that I need to overcome. So you as a speaker, you need also to know, as a presenter, we need to know where are our strengths, so where are our weaknesses, so that we can somehow try to overcome that or try to improve that. So this is one of the aspects that I need to improve. Yeah, I have once deliver what do you call lesson plan. The lesson should be around 90 minutes. Actually, it was prepared for 19 minutes, so we have to give exercises to the students and so on, come up with a worksheet and so on. I finished the whole lesson in 20 minutes. I didn't know that, as I finished my lesson, I just, the feeling of relief. Okay, I made it. I've done it, get over with it, done with it. So I was like smiling and happily. And then my lecturer called me saying that, you know what? The lesson should be for 90 minutes and you presented it for only 20 minutes. Okay, so that is why when you do your presentation, as you do your practice, whether you practice alone or practice with your friends, you need to time yourself. Okay, if the presentation is supposed to be for let's say 2 hours, so make sure you pace it so that it will cover for that 2 hours. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock as we speak, and I see that it is only 10:39, and I feel that I've gone a little bit fast, okay, throughout the beginning until now. So I'm going to pace out a little bit after this. Oh, I want to highlight this as well. Now, research found that faster speaker, okay, faster speakers are more influence or more persuasive than slower speaker. I don't know with you, but with me or to me, if I see someone who can speak very fast or who can go through the presentation very fast, I feel that I would give more attention to him or to her, and I also tend to somehow listen to the content more than looking at the person itself. So the personality or the delivery part, not so much of the body language. I will not look at that. I'll just focus on the message. So this is actually proven by research. Okay, so but if you are a slow speaker, okay, I have friends who are very good in English, overseas graduate, but she is very slow speaker. Not that she do not have a good grasp of language. It's not that. It's just that that's her personality. Okay, do you get me? That's how she speak. But when you go very slow, it come across to the audience that you are grasping for words. You're trying to find your words. Okay, so you do not know your content. So you have to be careful with that. Okay, all in all, what you need to do is pace your presentation, and then maintain your speed, right? So a reminder to me as well to maintain my speed. All right, 3 ways to improve your pace or your speech pace. Steady your breathing. Okay, this is what I'm lacking of actually as a presenter. Normally I will breathe or take a deep breather at the end of my presentation, which is quite bad. I should actually, in between my presentation, pause a little while and then take a deep breather. Okay. That's what I need to do. Okay, the second one is focus on enunciation. Sometimes when we speak too fast, people cannot hear us clearly, the message clearly. So you do not enunciate your words. Of course, some people they mumble their words or they swallow their words. So it is a bad thing to do. So you need to somehow adjust your vocal a little bit, practice your vocal cord so that people can actually get what you say, because that's very important. Besides your content, besides your delivery, okay, whether they can listen to you, whether they can hear you is the most important thing, right? So if you're prepared well, steady breathing, pacing well, good volume, good delivery, good eye contact, but you cannot enunciate properly what is the point, okay? Your message will not get across your audience. Okay, now you have to remember your audience can be your potential client as well, right? Your potential client, your customers, your regular customers, or your potential customers. So those are your audience. So you have to make sure that your message, whatever message that you're going to get to them, should be enunciate clearly. Now, enunciate means pronounce it clearly, yes. Now, the third one is reflect about punctuation in the speech. Again, because I'm very bad in pacing or speed. All right. So this is the area of my weakness. What I do normally during my presentation is that I would put slash. Okay, of course you have prepared your presentation, right? The written part of your presentation. Sometimes people they just write the outline of the presentation and then they can deliver everything. But to me, I need to write out my presentation. Okay, whatever the attention grabber or the storytelling, I would write it down first and then I would read it. Put slashes in between the places where I think that I need to pause a little bit, okay? So that I know, as I read, I know where to pause or where to stop or where to emphasize. Sometimes you need to emphasize on certain verbs or certain adjectives, okay? So you say like, our company is producing a new product. So you are stressing the word producing, that's the verb, okay? Or we are creating something, we're coming out with a new, or we're building a new property around where, okay? So some of the verb you need to stress, okay? So that is why I put the slash on my prepared speech so that I would remember where to actually stress, okay? So these are the 3 ways that, yeah, some of this, I practice it as well, because I think it is very crucial for us, especially, those working in a corporate sector. Okay, making communicating effectively is very important because I've been there. I've been like, the marketing executive in that organization for a while. So I know what it's like to have to communicate effectively to your audience. Okay, it is not like you're communicating with your friends. Okay, it is totally a different level because your friends will not somehow buy whatever you're selling, right? So if you're communicating with your clients, you are selling something. For me, I was selling my product at the bank. I was telling them my interest rate. I was telling them my, savings rate, why you need to put your deposit in our bank and not at other banks. So as soon as we get whatever new rates coming in, so I would just get a message across, to them, and then presenting them and then telling them what is the difference between our product and other banks' product. So to make it more interesting, what we add to the table for you, okay, so that you will choose us and not choosing them. Okay, of course, besides giving them a good service. All right. Now, how to pace your speech correctly? Appropriate pace is 1,000 words for 7 minutes. Okay, so it is 140 words per minute. So this is very important if you are trying to, if you want to be a good speaker or to be a good presenter. People take classes for this. You go for Toastmaster, you go for, you look at TED speakers. I know you go for classes for this. They pay thousands to be a good speaker and to learn how to pace themselves correctly. Okay, they practice regularly on this. If you say, like, you haven't presented before and the boss asks you to present somehow, or next week you're going to do this business pitching in front of our you're going to sell, for example, you're building a new residential area, okay, or commercial area. So you say, okay, you go to this we have like somehow call 150 potential buyer of our property. Okay, so how are you going to deliver that? So make sure you know your pace. So this is why pacing your presentation is very important. So like I said, people pay thousands of ringgit to be in public speaking classes. Okay, pitch. Okay, pitch is a placement of a voice on a musical scale. All right. So generally, men speak at a lower pitch than women. Okay. So that is why, like, sometimes people say that she sounded like she screamed. Actually, no. Normally it is just, people's men's voice is more of a low tone, of a low pitch rather than women. Okay. Now, low pitch speaking voice is preferable to listeners. I want to give you an example of low tone or low pitch speaking voice. Someone like, M. Nasir, the voice is very soothing to the ear, right? As opposed to some singers with very high pitch, normally it's ladies. It sounded sometimes when they go to the high pitch, sounded like they're screaming on top of their lung. Okay, so high pitch is actually less pleasant to ears, so less persuasive, of course, and then seem to be weaker. Okay, less truthful and more nervous. It is true. When you're nervous, when your husband or your spouse asks you something, and you know, if you're lying to them, and you get very nervous and you tend to speak in a very high pitch, you want to like defend yourself. I didn't do it, I didn't buy it, it's only like it only worth 300 ringgit. Okay, but in actual the bag costs you 1,500, for example, and then the husband asks you, how much is this? No, it's it doesn't cost me a fortune. Yeah, just but when you try to defend yourself, you will use this high pitch. It happens a lot to me. I don't know to you, but it happens a lot to me. Now you need to vary your pitch somehow. Again, we can vary our own pitch, depending on the situation. Of course, when you're happy or when you are excited, you use a very high pitch, and then you use very, a low pitch when you want to deliver something very serious or very, very like a sad thing. You don't use high pitch. Okay. Now, variation of everything in delivery, okay, is very important. That is why I like to talk about this. I like to talk about effective delivery, okay, in presentation, rather than talk about how to structure your presentation. Because I think most people can write well, okay? They can do research, they can put facts, they can put statistics in their presentation. Okay? They know how to write their presentation, their speech. They know how to write it. They know how to divide it into the introduction, the three body, okay, or 2 points or 3 main points that you want to, give across, and also how to conclude everything. But they do not know how to make an effective delivery. Okay, effective delivery to be um, need to be somehow practiced. Okay, you need to practice this. Are you guys still with me? Can I get someone from the audience to say yay? Are you guys still with me, by the way? Or are you sleeping already? Okay, I'm going for the next one. Volume. All right, so I've already given you the example of how volume plays, a very important role in making a presentation. If I cannot hear you in class, so I cannot give you marks. So same thing goes with business presentation. Okay, same thing. If the audience or if your potential client cannot hear you, so how can they know about your product? Okay, how can they know about your services? How can they know about how good a product is as compared to other products, okay, or your competitors? All right, so it refers to your loudness. Okay, like I said just now, we can modulate our own voice, we can adjust, okay, our own volume, whether we want to speak very low. Okay, if you have like some gossip going on, of course, you're going to use a very low volume, or you want to speak up. Okay, if you want to deliver something and you want people to listen to you, or you want to get attention from your audience, then of course you are going to use higher volume. All right. Okay. Next one. Pause. Now, again, like I said just now, when I talk about speed, I also talk about this just now. Pause is very important. Somehow, people who speak very fast, okay, fast speakers tend to forget where to use pause. You can use short pause, long pauses, or pseudo pause. It depends on you how you want to use or where you want to use. But it depends also on your content. Okay, so if you use long pause, means you want to highlight to the audience that I want you to think about this for a while. Okay, now think about how important this is. Okay, all right, and then if you use short pause, means you just want to break in between. Okay, so normally you vary your pauses. Short pause is very important in between your speech, and also long pause as well when you want them to absorb something. So you pause a while, or you want them you pose them a rhetorical question, a question that doesn't require answer, but it requires them to think, okay, a little bit about the issue. Okay, so you give them the room to reflect on the question or the rhetorical question that you have given. All right, so the audience is very quiet. The fifth element of making a successful speech is visual aids. Of course, like I said just now, we're going to have a program on this, on how to make wow slide presentation. I'm not going to dwell on this much. It will be presented later in our program by Encik Ahmad Zulkarnain, of course. Okay, I was seeing ahead. But what you need to know about visuals basically is you need to add visuals to make your presentation look very vivid, graphic, and it also depends on the topic that you're going to present. Sometimes, by using one slide, people can go hours talking by only one slide, by only giving the point. Let's say, I'm only going to use my content slide just now, the first slide. And then as I go through the content, I will not even look at the rest. Okay. Well, it depends on your audience. If your audience is an expert in the topic, then you can use that technique. But if your audience is somehow like, normally my audience would be tertiary students. Depends, sometimes I have adult students as well in Open University, and they like visual as well. They like visual. If we do not have visuals and then there's no slide for today, madam, can I have your slide? To them, like, having visuals is very important for them to connect. Because some people, they have talking about multiple intelligence, right, that we have. Some people, they have like, visual kind of intelligence. So they need to see something in order to absorb something. People with auditory intelligence, there's no problem with them not having any slides and whatnot. They can always listen and they can get the gist of whatever you want to deliver, or what you want to deliver to them, basically. Okay. But those with visual intelligence, they need visual. Okay. Now the goal is to motivate and persuade your audience. Sometimes, again, it doesn't have to be slides, study in the field of education, of course. That's why I give you the example just now, talking about my adult students. 83% of learning occurs visually. Okay, so all right. So retention level of audience is 6 times greater when visual aids are included. So we need this, this research to somehow help us in designing our presentation. Now, talking about the types of visuals. Okay. We have flip charts. Okay, depends. Sometimes, if in certain organization they use this flip chart when they present in meetings. Okay, handouts is the most popular. But sometimes, when you give handouts, when you depend so much on handouts, it is not good for you as well, because as people read the handout, especially if the handout is self-explanatory, when they read it, they can understand it. So what is the purpose of you presenting? What is the purpose of you delivering your speech? What is the purpose of you making that business presentation, right? So make sure if you want to provide handouts, it is not a self-explanatory handout, meaning you still leave some room for explanation, some room for them to question whatever they have in mind. Okay, so with that in mind, you design your handouts, to just assist them or giving them the aid to understand your overall speech or overall presentation. Okay, overhead projectors, we used it before, but not anymore. I remember during my college years, the lecturers, even in the States back then, they use a lot of these overhead projectors, and also they use microfiche, to to show some pictures, the picture can be clear, and sometimes it is not that clear. But we as students, back then we pretend that we can see very clear. Is it clear? Is that clear? When the lecturer said, we say, yeah, we can see it clearly. But in actual, it is just blurred picture. Okay, now we are very lucky to have this kind of technology, right? Okay, slideshows like what I'm showing you right now. And props. Again, it depends on your topic. Sometimes you need props. Okay, it depends on your topic. Okay. All right. Now, talking about props, I remember making my presentation. My presentation was actually on aromatherapy. Back then, aromatherapy is not a popular thing. Okay, so as I know that my turn will be coming next, I put that oil in the burner, and then yeah, that oil I drip. I think like 3 or 4 drops of that oil in the water, and then I burn it with the burner. I put it in one corner of the room, in the classroom. As the speaker, begin the speech, the room is filled with the scent of lavender. Okay, very calming scent, right? And that distract the audience, and also yeah, I feel bad for that actually, and it distract the lecturer as well. She keep asking, what smell is that, what smell was that? So so what I did was I prepared them for my speech before actually delivering my speech. So I use prop. Okay, so that's my prop. All right, so that's my prop. Okay, so again, it depends on what kind of presentation you're making. So choose the prop properly, or choose the visuals properly. You do not want to go aboard with this, by using every visuals that you can. Okay, you do not want to go aboard with this, right? So maybe just pick. Oh, I want to use prop as well as slideshows. Okay, fine. Or I want to give handouts as well at the end of my presentation, but I also use slideshows during my presentation. Okay, fine. So maximum is 2 perhaps, okay, not 3, because it will distract the audience as well. I want you to listen to this Toastmaster International speech by Darren Tay. The title is Outsmart, Outlast. Okay, and then I want you to comment on the following. I will call a few audience to give their response on this. One is the use of pitch. We talk about pitch just now, right? Using low and high. And then also we talk about pace or speed. So your comment would be, is it appropriate? Okay, the speed that he used, is he going fast, or was he going slow? Okay, and then you need to look at his body language as well. Okay, what kind of eye contact? Is it a good eye contact? Gestures, excessive or not? His body movement, how he move about across the stage, is it excessive, distracting or not? And then also, I want you to look at the element of storytelling that he used in the story, okay, or in his speech. Sorry, is it effective or not? If he didn't use storytelling, would it be as effective if you think that it is an effective speech? Okay, now, all right, I'm going to, sorry, going to share again. Choose.
Darren Tay.
Can you hear me as I play it just now? Cik Sani, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'll play it again.
Outsmart, outlast. Darren, outsmart, outlast, Darren Tay. All the best.
Hey loser, how do you like your new school uniform? I think it looks great on you. Those were the words of my high school bully, Greg Umberfield. Now, if you're all wondering whether the underwear that Greg used was clean, I had the same question. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and anyone, including those watching worldwide, if you are looking at Calvin Klein here, stop staring. My eyes are up here. And this was what Greg told me. He said the best way to deal with inner bullies is not to run or hide. You cannot run away from the bully here. The best way to deal with it is to stand firm, face it, and acknowledge its presence. When you do so, you are no longer identifying with it. You are stepping out and observing it. It's like instead of being out there in the storm, you're now in the house watching the storm. Your inner bully will weaken and fade. I was thinking, wow, that's profound. How come you didn't tell me when I was 14? My friends, I'm standing on stage now before 2,000 of you and many more watching worldwide. But I'm not afraid anymore. I'm in control because I'm acknowledging it. I'm stepping out of it, observing it, and watching it weaken and fade. My friends, let us all not run away from our inner bullies anymore. Let us all face our inner bullies, acknowledge its presence, and fight. Let us all be vulnerable together as a family, supporting one another. Because we can all outsmart and... Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Okay. So I also want you to listen to the next presenter. Okay. Wait. The next speech is by Dalia Mohagged. Okay. What is it like to be a Muslim, to be a Muslim in America? So you compare her speech or her delivery method with Darren T just now. Okay. So you also look at her pitch, whether she used high or low, and then whether her pace of speech is appropriate or not. The use of her body language, okay, her eye contact, her gestures, her movement, okay, is it excessive or distracting or not? And is the use of storytelling effective? Okay, and then tell me which one do you prefer? Okay, so you compare these two, right? Okay, wait. I'm gonna share slide.
People who look like me. What do you think when you look at me? A woman of faith, an expert, maybe even a sister, or oppressed, brainwashed, a terrorist, or just an airport security line delay. That one's actually true. If some of your perceptions were negative, I don't really blame you. That's just how the media has been portraying people who look like me. One study found that 80% of news coverage about Islam and Muslims is negative. And studies show that Americans say that most don't know a Muslim. I guess people don't talk to their Uber drivers. Well, for those of you who've never met a Muslim, it's great to meet you. let me tell you who I am. I'm a mom, a coffee lover, double espresso cream on the side. I'm an introvert. I'm a wannabe fitness fanatic, and I'm a practicing spiritual Muslim. But not like Lady Gaga says, because baby, I wasn't born this way. It was a choice. When I was 17, I decided to come out. No, not as a gay person like some of my friends, but as a Muslim, and decided to start wearing the hijab, my head covering. My feminist friends were aghast. Why are you oppressing yourself? The funny thing was, it was actually at that time a feminist declaration of independence from the pressure I felt as a 17-year-old to conform to a perfect and unattainable standard of beauty. I didn't just passively accept the faith of my parents. I wrestled with the Quran. I read and reflected and questioned and doubted and ultimately believed. My relationship with God, it was not love at first sight. It was a trust and a slow surrender that deepened with every reading of the Quran. Its rhythmic beauty sometimes moves me to tears. I see myself in it. I feel that God knows me. Have you ever felt like someone sees you, completely understands you, and yet loves you anyway? That's how it feels. And so later, I got married, and like all good Egyptians, started my career as an engineer. I later had a child after getting married, and I was living essentially the Egyptian American dream. And then that terrible morning of September 2001. I think a lot of you probably remember exactly where you were that morning. I was sitting in my kitchen, finishing breakfast, and I look up on the screen and see the words breaking news. There was smoke, airplanes flying into buildings, people jumping out of buildings. What was this? An accident? A malfunction? My shock quickly turned to outrage. Who would do this? And I switched the channel and I hear Muslim terrorist, in the name of Islam, Middle Eastern descent, jihad. We should bomb Mecca. Oh my God. Not only had my country been attacked, but in a flash, somebody else's actions had turned me from a citizen to a suspect. That same day, we had to drive across Middle America to move to a new city to start grad school. And I remember sitting in the passenger seat as we drove in silence, crouched as low as I could go in my seat for the first time in my life, afraid for anyone to know I was a Muslim. We moved into our apartment that night in a new town in what felt like a completely different world. And then I was hearing and seeing and reading warnings from national Muslim organizations saying things like, be alert, be aware, stay in well-lit areas, don't congregate. I stayed inside all week. And then it was Friday, that same week, the day that Muslims congregate for worship. And again, the warnings were, don't go that first Friday. It could be a target. And I was watching the news, wall-to-wall coverage. Emotions were so raw, understandably. And I was also hearing about attacks on Muslims, or people who were perceived to be Muslim being pulled out and beaten in the street.
Okay, I'm going to stop that for a while because, not for a while, I'm going to stop that. And because I think the video is quite long, and I think that you have got the gist of it already. Okay. All right, so now I want you to tell me, okay, looking back at our slide just now, what is your thought on this? Okay, what are your comments on this? In comparison between the lady just now as compared to Darren Tay. So can someone actually tell me which speech they prefer and why? Or if you want to comment on any of this, it is also okay. Can someone tell me? Or give your thoughts on this? We're actually like discussing, you know. Can someone tell me, please? Is Puante there? I'm picking the audience. Puante, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Puante, sorry for picking you. Okay, which one do you prefer actually?
To me, it's both. It depending what kind of topic you're talking about. Because Darren Tay is more on the speaking in the public, and then he only has a short time, and he was talking about bully. So in talking something, a topic with this, what do you call it, intense, so he tend to use a high pitch note and quite aggressive. Whereas this lady, she's talking about something sad happening to her. So what have been happening to her? So she's using a kind of lower tone because this make us be with her, how she feels and go with her journey. That's it.
All right, thank you so much, Puante. Very good insight. Okay, I agree, totally agree. Okay, due to the difference in the topic. Now, can someone comment on the use of storytelling on both? Okay, can someone comment on this? The use of storytelling. Is Datin Sri with us today? Datin Sri Suja, are you there? No. Madam Farhana? No, can someone and anyone from the audience? I'm just picking the ones the one that I know. I believe that there are many of you from other organization, but I'm sorry if I didn't call your name because I don't know. All right. So if you want to comment on the storytelling, what do you think about this? The use of storytelling. When I show this, actually this the same video on a group of audience, my other audience before this was the directors of college vocational, okay, pengarah college vocational, Malaysia, okay, from Sabah, Sarawak, and so on, Semenanjung. What they comment on this is that they said, I do not like the speech by Darren Tay. And I asked her why. She's from Sarawak, I think, yeah, the director from Sarawak. I said, why? She said, like, I don't like the use of the pitch. He speaks with a very high pitch. Okay. His storytelling is interesting. Yeah, Dahlia, Professor Madia, Dr. Azira. Oh, thank you so much. I didn't, because I'm presenting, so I couldn't see the comment on this chat box. Sorry. Thank you for commenting on that. Talking about what my audience, okay, my previous audience comment is that she said, I don't like the use of high pitch on Darren T when he used it. The pitch is very distracting. And also the movement, if you see that the difference between Darren and Dahlia is that Dahlia didn't move a bit. Okay, she just turned her body sideways. left and right, and yet, you know, it makes us so mesmerized with her presentation. Don't you think so? I mean, you know, as a speaker, I think I'm more attracted to Dahlia. Not that I know I'm against men or what, you know. But as a speaker, because I think that her story invoke my emotion rather than Darren's story. By the way, Darren is the winner of that Toastmaster International speech in 2016 when he did that topic. Okay, he's from Singapore, and he managed to, you know, outsmart and outlast around 20,000 plus contestant. Okay, he was actually the winner of that. Yeah, he used the stage well, eye contact, body movement, humor, whatnot, use of storytelling, but it doesn't. I don't feel the story as much, because the story of bully story should be very emotional, invoking story that makes you want to cry somehow. But when he injected humor in that, it becomes very humorous rather than a very sad experience that we, you know, join on his journey. I don't know if you have different opinions. So, different opinion for different people, right? Okay, this one is from I don't know. Darren Tay's speech much more attracting. Like keep pulling attention towards him compared to the lady, which speech is like for an audience to imagine to be like in the shoes. Yeah, again, it depends on how you. It depends on your personality, and it depends on how you look at the perspective, your own perspective of that topic itself. Okay, for me, because all right, okay, for me, it is important for a story, you know, to make sense, or to capture, in order to capture the audience attention, the story should not only make sense, but it should invoke the audience feeling. I understand why Darren become the winner of that, because of his stage presence. He has such a huge stage presence. The pace is just right, not too fast, not too slow. But some people consider him a fast speaker. But to me, the pace is just right, the speed is just right. The eye contact is very good. We keep going with him, you know, a front and back. And the story makes sense as well, because he relates, you know, the beginning till the end, by saying that in the end, actually, you know, the bully become somehow the counselor. Okay, the counselor. For some people, the story doesn't make sense. So one of the comments that I get from the directors, the story doesn't make sense, madam. Or point. Okay, I say, yeah, it depends on how you look at it. Okay. All right. So thank you so much. I really appreciate what Puan said just now, because she talks about how the topic, you know, play a very important role in how you use your movement, in how you use your pitch, in how you use your body language. Okay. If I think she used a lot of movement, or Dahlia used a lot of movement in her story or in her delivery, it wouldn't be as impactful as that. Okay. Her overall speech is actually 16 minutes. As I watch it until the end, it doesn't feel like 16 minutes at all. It feels like 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. So as I finish watching it, I say like, oh my God, it's 16 minutes. Okay. So that's how powerful sometimes a speech can be, right? Now, let's move on to the next one, which is a 3-piece. After this, we're going to have a Q&A session, but you know, if you have any questions, but if you don't, I'm just going to continue a little bit. Okay. So you can post your questions in the chat box if you have one. All right. I will try to answer as much as I can. Okay, the 3 P's of effective or successful presentation would be preparation, practice, and performance. Okay, so the outcome, okay, how well you deliver your speech, it doesn't only depends on your oral skill. Okay, it depends on how well you prepare and you practice as well. Because most people, they say, okay, you're a good speaker, so you go ahead. I mean, if I do not have the content, if I do not prepare, I will not be able to deliver it well. You know, it doesn't mean that if you can speak well, either in Malay or either in English, you can perform well. No, it doesn't mean that. Okay, doesn't have to be that. Now, preparation. It's true that whether you fail or whether you succeed, you can only say it at the day of your presentation. Okay, but what people do not know is that what comes before that. People always see that, oh, she delivers very well, but you know, for that 10 minutes or for that, for example, what Darren Tay did just now, or even what Dahlia, because Dahlia put a lot of statistic in her speech. Okay, so that requires a lot of preparation, even to deliver that, or even to memorize that. Okay, and to know where to put her humor, where to inject humor, or where to add pauses, that requires a lot of preparation. Okay, that requires a lot of preparation. And you know, when you prepare, when you plan, especially when you're well prepared, it shows, and then it somehow reduce your nervousness a little bit. Okay, yeah. Imagine if your boss asks you to present something unprepared. Okay, you're not prepared. At night, she texts you, and then she said like, Encik Sani, you have to go and present something to Datuk tomorrow, for example. Okay, of course, you know, that night perhaps you cannot sleep, and then you will try to prepare as much, but you cannot do, you know, that much in such a short notice. Okay, so having lack of preparation, lack of planning, that would add to your nervousness. Okay, now believe me, if you are well prepared, okay, if you plan well, somehow it will reduce the nervousness a bit, or somehow, you know, perhaps you will just feel nervous at the beginning after seeing your audience, the friendly faces and whatnot. You know, it will just go away. Okay, that happened to me all the time. So the vital step is 3 steps. Okay, knowing your audience, what is the purpose, and also the direction. Okay, knowing your audience is very important. I've mentioned this before just now, talking about, you know, if you speak in front of primary student or secondary student or teenagers, okay, adults, okay, tertiary level, right? Okay, adults, that would be different. I mean, yeah, your speech or your content, your delivery will be based on the audience, okay, who your audience are. So you want to know actually how many audience, okay, you have, and then what are the gender, what are their professional background, or what are their interests. If the topic is somehow related to technology, you want to know their technological background as well. Cultural background. Are they expert in the topic? If they're expert, are you going to only dwell on the surface of the topic, which wouldn't give them much impact or much effect? Okay, it doesn't give them anything because they are already an expert and you just touch the surface. Okay, and then what is the purpose of your presentation? Why are you speaking? Are you there to persuade people? Okay, are you there to entertain? Now, normally in corporate sector, what we do is actually most of the time is informative speech. We want to inform, okay, and then we want to persuade. Okay, those are the 2 things that we normally go for. We want to inform them that there's an interest, there's a new product coming, or a reduction in interest rate, or increase in the interest rate, or or you can like perhaps the new insurance that come with our products and things like that. Okay, so that is more on informative kind of speech, or as you want to only deliver the information. Okay, and I think the most skill is needed to make persuasive speech as opposed to other kind of speech, other kind of talk. For example, not only you want to inform them that there's a reduction in interest rate, but you also want to persuade them, come and take loan with us. Okay, so it is a combination of I'm telling you, and now I want you to join us, or to be with us, or to take our product, to buy our property, and things like that. Okay, now I believe that salesmen are very persuasive people. From my own experience, okay, I seldom went to the mall with my husband. Actually, in one of the occasion when I went to the mall, he's not the type of person who is easily persuaded by any salesman. So because he's quite objective in his thinking as compared to me. I'm easily, persuaded by any products that people sell. I will just buy without sometimes thinking. So as opposed to my husband. But in one occasion, as we watch the property, sometimes they have like, property show, right, in malls. And one of the sales, person in that property developer, I think, yeah. And then she talks about this property. It's a girl. She talks about this property and how it could, the property is in KL, and how it can like increase, how the property, the price will triple up and things like that. How it can be a very good investment for us and things like that. And to my surprise, he immediately agreed and signed the agreement there and then. How I didn't find her persuasive because I was busy looking at the model of the houses. And then suddenly I find him telling me that, okay, I've already bought the property. Okay, so I think she did a very good job in persuading him to buy the property. So a very good persuasive skill, huh? That we need to somehow, somehow we also need, like in education sector, especially in private education sector, we also need that persuasive skill to like persuade people, or to ensure people that you should come to us, or come with us, or we can give you this, we can provide you this better than anyone else. All right, the third one is the direction of your speech. How are you going to go about designing it, the overall thing? Are you going to give handouts, slides? How many slides? How many time are given to you? Okay, is there any Q&A? Like, for example, we have our Q&A session, but perhaps, I don't know if I can answer, but I will definitely try to answer as much as I can if you have any question. Okay, so this is how you want to design. The how is how you want to get to that delivery part. Okay, how are you going to design the overall thing? Are you going to have like only 3 points or only 2 points? Where are you going to put it? For 10 minutes, how many slides do I need? What type of handouts, or do I even need handouts? If not, what else should I give to the audience? Or is it just, adequate by giving them only the slides, so 3 slides for that 10 minutes? Okay, so you need to design all this in the how part. Okay. Now, finding time to prepare speech. It is said that for every minute of your presentation, you need to set aside at least an hour of preparation. So imagine if you're going to deliver a presentation or give a speech of 20 minutes, then you need to set aside 20 hours. in order for you to develop the material, you want to search for the material, you want to develop your presentation, do the outline or where to put the first point, the second point, how are you going to support your point. Remember what Dahlia did just now. She did a lot of, she used a lot of statistics in her presentation. So that requires a lot of preparation, a lot of research. Okay, so she need to do some kind of research. And then outlining your speech or your presentation and rehearsal, it includes, all of this is inclusive in that 20 hours. So that is why you require that much. I think I get this question before, like how many times should I somehow, practice? Okay, when I get this question, I say it depends on you. It depends on you actually. If you write your own speech, sometimes we read other people's speech. Okay, when we read other people's speech, then the problem would come in because reading it as not the writer would be different because you do not know the substance as much as the writer do. Okay, so try as much as you can to prepare your own speech because you are the one who's going to get the materials. You are going to read the original article that you cited for your speech, for example. So that would give you some kind of ideas. Okay, not only I'm getting this statistic, but I know where I get that, and I know the original materials. I know the overall picture of the articles and whatnot. Okay, and as you write, somehow you are going to memorize bit by bit. Okay, and then during your practice, you will add to that memorization, and at the end, somehow or other, when you're on stage, when you're delivering your presentation, when delivering your speech, it has already stuck in your mind. Okay, so if you ask me like how many times should I practice, it really depends. Okay, depends. Personally, I would practice more than 10 times. Okay, more than 10 times. If I am an expert in the topic, 10 times still. If I'm not an expert, meaning it is something new. For example, if you wanted me to talk about sustainability development, which is not my forte, but somehow, I'm replacing someone to give that presentation, for example. So I need to somehow practice more than 10 times, perhaps 20, just to read through, make sure I enunciate everything properly, I pronounce everything properly, okay, make sure I get the right pace, the right pitch, and so on. So you need someone, somehow or other, someone to actually do the rehearsal with you. Okay, that's very important. Select your material, map out your outline, add human personality, revise a speech, and tie the loose end together. Now, these are the smart speech preparation. Okay, I'm going to go through this very quickly. Not to say that we are about to run out of time, but we still have a few slides, after this. Select your material. Start with what you have already known. Okay, so only 1 to 3 major points. So the research, that is why for 20 minutes of presentation, you need 20 hours because you need to have a solid research conducted, okay, in order for you to feel that, oh, I've done my best. I've done my due diligence in searching or researching on this topic. So this is all that I know. So now I can call myself an expert in the topic or in the area, for example. Okay. So do not, your points cannot be more than 3. Even when you are writing an essay or you're writing a speech, it shouldn't be more than 5 paragraphs. The introduction, the 3 major points or 2 major points, 2 to 3, and then your conclusion, how you want to wrap up things. Okay, map out your outline. So your introduction, before that, if you can try to grab the attention of the audience, like what I did just now when I burned the oil, it is actually like attention grabber already. Okay. Or sometimes people, when they do presentation on occupation, so they wear that occupation dress, like a firefighter dress. That is the attention grabber. Okay. And sometimes people play a video at the beginning of the presentation. So that is your attention grabber before you actually start your introduction. Okay. How are you going to get the attention of the audience even before they listen to you? Okay. That is, the power of attention grabber. Okay. And then, of course, your body, put as much facts as possible in your body. And then when you conclude, you are tying everything together. Now, remember, sometimes people, if you use storytelling, at the beginning, they tell one story, and then at the end, they tell the same story, but they're tying the story all together. Okay, that is a very good storytelling technique, by the way. You are tying everything out. You are, you do not leave any loose end. I like speakers who can do that, because I feel that is very powerful, storytelling technique use. And then, of course, revise your speech. If you're not a good writer, if you have to write it in English, perhaps you can have someone to proofread your speech for you, okay, before you actually try to articulate or try to practice the speech. Okay, so have your friends to check the grammars, check the structure, and everything. Okay, and also check whether sometimes, if you're not a good writer, you can get the content correct, but somehow it is not tied together. It doesn't have the, it doesn't glue together. It doesn't, like, have the cohesiveness. Okay, tak ada cohesive, tak ada, it is not glued together. Somehow you feel that it is loose kind of writing. So a good writer know how to glue things together. So try to have some of your friends who are very good writer to check your work before you memorize or practice it. Okay. Now practicing it, you can either practice alone, okay, in front of people. Okay, it depends. If I do my practice alone at the first stage, the beginning stage, I will just practice alone. Okay, whatever type of presentation, I will just practice alone. And what I like to do is, and one of the tips also is to practice in front of the mirror, especially if it is a face-to-face kind of presentation. Okay, why in front of a mirror? To look at how you pronounce or how you enunciate certain words, how you move your mouth actually, because some people, they're very conscious about how they pronounce something. Okay, so that is why they need a mirror to see their reflection on things. And then after that, that's the first stage of practice. And then after that, in front of people. Now I don't do this so much, because previously when I was actively involved in presenting in conference, I used to ask my friends, okay, do you have like 5 minutes? Can I have like 5 minutes of your time to listen to my presentation in room 1? And they will come and they will give comments before my real presentation in a conference, for example. Okay, even though it is a local conference, but as long as it is a presentation, I need to practice in front of people. So my friend will give me some input, some negative or some negative positive input. Whether they think that, it is necessary for them to add something or not, whether it is appropriate already or whether I need to stress on something. Normally they give a very good input. Okay. Now do the final dress rehearsal. It doesn't mean that you have to be like full dress. A final dress rehearsal would be just the final rehearsal. If you need to be there and to look at the, the place or the hall, the setting of everything. Do they have podium? Do they have speakers? Do the speakers work and things like that? So do their rehearsal, do their final check. Okay. actually to reduce your nervousness as well. I did one mistake actually on this, talking about final dress rehearsal. I was called to get to speak in front of, not to speak lah, to give some kind of workshop on WAT to QIPSAS students, okay, college Islam in Kuantan, Pahang. All right. My friend told me that the audience will be just around 100 plus audience, okay, in a hall. She didn't say a hall, actually, she just say 100 plus audience, and that's a book given. So they will give me a book. So I will just prepare slides as well. So talking about the 4 areas of MUAT: reading, speaking, listening, and writing, right? And at the day of that event, one day, it's actually one whole day, 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. What happened was that they, the day before that, they feel that they need to include every student from other faculty as well. So it turns out from 100 plus becoming to 600 plus. And I wasn't ready that morning for that kind of audience. So because we didn't do any final check. So I was nervous about the speaker, whether it works or not. And then I was also thinking about, oh, I need to move about, because they have their own book that I need to use during that workshop. So do I need to go down? Do I need to just stay up? But luckily it turned out well. I did manage, that group of 600 plus students, and they were pleased with that workshop. It added some, knowledge to them and whatnot. So we add practice and whatnot. But what I regret is that the last minute decision made by the organization to tell me the number of audience, because it affects me during my presentation. It adds to my nervousness as well. All right. And then you can also practice by using other platform like Toastmaster. Okay, Puante is one of the Toastmaster members. I'm not. Okay, I'm not. I've never attended any public speaking platform. I just took classes, but not any public speaking platform, which I think I should. Okay, you should as well. Now, the last P is performance. You need to prepare yourself for, for some unexpected technical troubles. For example, something might come up. So perhaps you want to prepare like extra slides, extra worksheets, or extra exercises for them, and then you have to plan it to the detail. That some people, they do not want to think about the negative side of it. They say, okay, everything is going to go smooth. I need to think positively. But you need to bear in mind, if something happened, okay, which, we can only plan, but if something goes wrong, it might create anxiety. Okay, so make sure you be prepared for that. Okay, and then leave house early to avoid traffic. Check your computer. Make sure you bring everything. Your, what do you call, if you need your charger or whatever. Okay, and then yeah, like I said, avoid heavy meal. Like for example, this morning I haven't eaten anything yet, to avoid any distraction. And then I haven't been avoiding coffee actually for this past, even last night I had my very late latte, okay, which is very bad actually. Now I have a sore throat. Okay, it, of course, it will affect your vocal cord, so you need to avoid caffeine as much as you can. Okay, now how to improve. Okay, so this is the last slide actually. Now, how to improve your performance. Okay, like I said, to me, not only the content is important, because the content can be prepared by someone else, okay? Or you can take the speech from somewhere and just read it. But the most important thing is that how you deliver your message, your performance on that day. Okay, no matter how much you know about your product, how much you know about your services, how much you know about your students, but on that day, if you fail to deliver, means your performance is not up to the standard, or it is a failed performance. All right, now relax before you get up. Like I said, some of you might want to practice breathing techniques, try to calm yourself down. If you want to recite dua, do that first, and then greet your audience with a smile. Okay, normally I need to be reminded of having to smile, okay, all the time. Yeah, maybe because of nervousness when it kicks in. You, as much as you want to practice, somehow some element you might leave it out. Okay, do not rush through your presentation because you have practice, you have paced yourself well. So make sure you follow the pace. Make yourself be heard. Okay, make sure they listen to what you are delivering rather than listen to your body language. Okay, so that is why you cannot focus too much on your body language. All right, face your audience at all time, even though you want to move about. Okay, moving from one end to another end, you cannot somehow leave your eye contact. All right, and then talk to them and not at them. So this is the importance of having the empathy. I think when you talk to them, you actually like practicing empathy. I get you and things like that. If you talk to them, sometimes you are like focusing on more like sympathy rather than empathy. Okay, so that's the difference between talk to them and not at them. Okay, and then you want to claim your attention. All right, imagine if you're talking to a group of people and there's like a loud noise outside, maybe a construction going on, besides your building. So you want to claim their attention. You need to somehow adjust your voice, perhaps if there's no microphone available and things like that. So you claim that attention. So do not let anybody else steal your limelight. Okay, so that's your time to shine. So do do as much as you can to claim that attention, to deliver everything, and then to get over it. To get over with it. Okay, do not stick your hand in your pockets. We talk about this just now. Answer any question as quickly as possible. That's also actually a technique in answering question. What if you cannot answer the question? Okay, what if you can answer? Are you going to say that, oh, I don't know the answer? No, that's as much as it is good for you to admit yet that you do not know, but you cannot just stop there. Perhaps you can say something like, oh, well, this is not actually, the area of my expertise, or it is far beyond the topic that I have talked about just now. Perhaps I can get back to you after this. Okay, so do it with due diligence. I mean, do it in a very planned manner. Okay, do not just say, oh, I didn't talk about this topic, so why do you ask such question? Okay, so don't get offended by certain questions. If you do not know the answer, just say that I will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, and somehow if you feel that you're not comfortable answering that, you can also tell them that well, I think this question needs to be dealt in private. Okay, can I meet up with you like after my presentation for a quick answer or for a quick chat, perhaps? So you have to know the technique. All right, and then do not underestimate your audience. Of course, always overestimate that they know more than you. Okay, because audience are very clever. If you underestimate them, they know. Okay, then they will say like, Do you think that I'm stupid? I don't know this. I'm not telling that you don't know. Maybe this is just a refresher for you. Okay. Wrap up your talk on time. Like I have another 4 minutes. I always look at watch nowadays whenever I do present. I do not want to go overboard. Be flexible. I mean, sometimes they said, okay, can you add another half an hour to your presentation? And you say, no, I cannot. This is just what I have prepared for 2 hours. That's it. No, you cannot do that. What you can do is perhaps when you plan your slides, you make extra slides. So what if they ask you to add another hour or another half an hour to that? So this is what I will do. Okay, be your best self. I mean, when you present, actually your personality shows more than yourself. So that is what you want to show to people, that I have a very good personality. This is me. I'm warm. I'm approachable. I'm relatable. Um, you can ask me anything. I'm open. You know, uh, I see you and you see me. So this is me. All right. So give me this opportunity to tell you uh, or to deliver whatever things that I want to deliver. All right. And then have fun. Not all people can do this, actually, to have fun on stage. Or in front of other people. But some people, they can do it like effortlessly. Not me. I'm not that kind of person. I need to prepare to have fun. Okay, it might come across that I'm having fun, but it's actually not. A lot is going on as I go through my presentation, or as I do my presentation, or as I deliver my speech. All right. So connect with people after the presentation. Of course, after every presentation, go to your audience. So go either, you want to go down the stage, or even, if it is on the same floor, just go to them. Thank you for coming. Normally connecting to the audience, sometimes I do it even before. If you come early and then you just say, oh, how are you doing? Where are you from? And things like that. Okay, just small talk, not asking too much of a question on the content, or not dwelling on the real issues. It's just, small talk. The weather is nice today, don't you think so? Or, having a good cup of coffee at this hour is so refreshing, don't you think so? Things like that. So just a small talk. Okay, something that can be talked about between you and the people around. Okay, that is actually, I think, yeah, we cannot, we don't have time for this. Actually, there's a few exercises that I do with my audience, actually, practicing persuasive skill, and how you want to create 1-minute commercial on this, and also a few other activities which we don't have time to actually do. All right, so that's the end of my presentation, actually. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. All right, so, okay, is there any? Please share, what is this? Okay, what are you saying that? Okay, if you have any question, but I believe it's quite, we have another 1 minute. Oh, no, we are on time. All right. So I hope that I have made myself clear during this presentation. I hope it can somehow add some knowledge, if not many, to your, to what you have already have. I believe that those in corporate sector, you have had this knowledge, it is in you, but it is just a refresher for you. And also, as I talk about my, this is just an introductory of what presentation skills look like. If you want to know more about visuals, we're going to have our course or program soon in using, or how to create, or how to design a wow presentation, which will be conducted by our own senior head of Training Institute, J. Ahmad Zulkarnain. Okay, we will communicate with you on the event soon. All right, so I thank you so much for giving me your precious time or spending your time with me and hearing my my speak. Interesting session. Oh, second. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. Again, have a good day, everyone. Take care. Welcome.